I wish them too the best of luck. Naturally, though, going through anything like this must be really challenging, particularly for Beatrice, who seemed to be caught off guard by everything and put a great deal of faith in her father, behind the palace walls. According to insiders, Princess Beatrice is silently going through a very stressful and emotional crisis. Additionally, it has been alleged that she is now closer than ever to a breaking point due to the pressure. There are rumors among royal circles that Beatrice is currently carrying a great emotional load, as the York family is once again under intense scrutiny due to new headlines and returning controversies. Additionally, some speculate that one of her main worries would be preventing Princess Eugenie from being overtaken by the increasing amount of scrutiny surrounding the family. Welcome to Crown, where every aspect of royal drama is dissected. You won't want to miss what happens next, I promise. For the most recent developments, significant assertions, and constant royal updates, subscribe today and follow the channel. Because observers claim that the York sisters are in danger of being pulled back into a crisis they have spent years attempting to avoid due to the abrupt return of years' worth of previous associations, public controversies, and awkward inquiries. And believe me, you'll want to remain to the very end because, according to reports, the last part of this tale ties the present unrest to a startling individual whose name is said to have caused significant disquiet within the palace. This issue becomes even more dramatic from here, so be sure to subscribe and join the channel if you love learning about the hidden conflicts and royal tales that are being told behind closed doors. Insiders claim that the meticulously restored public perception of the House of York may now be beginning to crumble due to fresh pressure from behind the scenes. Commentators claim that as long-standing disputes persist, the environment surrounding the family has apparently grown tenser. Appearing again in the media. Additionally, Princess Beatrice has reportedly silently assumed the position of emotional protector inside the family for years, frequently trying to shelter her sister and parents from the most severe public criticism. However, insiders assert that the most recent events concerning Sarah Ferguson might have strained that delicate emotional balance. In a crisis, what kind of man abandons his wife and two small children? He also doesn't look well in it. According to observers, Beatrice is apparently having difficulty in private as she works to protect Princess Eugenie from a quickly worsening scenario that many in royal circles believe may worsen in the coming months. Insiders claim that the most recent set of disclosures has shocked Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie significantly more profoundly than the general population is aware, because analysts claim that just when the sisters were supposedly thinking the worst of the media attention had finally begun to fade away, they are now being forced to revisit controversies related to their parents' past. However, rumors state that a recent and extremely awkward relationship involving Sarah Ferguson dramatically rekindled interest throughout the world. According to reports, the dispute this time revolved around claims that Fergie was socially connected to recording mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Additionally, royal observers claim that because the scenario created a whole new level of reputational risk for the York family, it instantly caused grave alarm within the palace gates. For many years, Prince Andrew and his family were the main subjects of public controversy. Associations. However, critics claim that this most recent crossover increased attention in a way that many in royal circles considered quite worrying, because past royal scandals were no longer the only focus of headlines. I'm not competent, I'm not intelligent enough, why am I different from the others? Those moments in the classroom are, in my opinion, extremely defining. The York family was all of a sudden being drawn into broader international discussions about one of the most contentious individuals in the entertainment industry. Additionally, insiders claim that Princess Beatrice was more afraid of the increasingly explicit nature of the purported association than just its existence. Assertions and in-depth reports are already showing up in international media attention. According to reports, royal biographer Andrew Lowy has talked about claims that Sarah Ferguson and Diddy may have frequently met in high-end social circles over a period of time. Reports state that insiders assert that some of those purported interactions took place in extraordinarily affluent international social networks and exceedingly exclusive luxury settings. The striking numbers associated with those tales, according to observers, immediately increased public interest in and media coverage of the accusations. Additionally, analysts claim that Beatrice has been working non-stop behind the scenes to handle the reputational and emotional consequences as the headlines continue to go across the world. Because, according to royal sources, the York family is aware of how risky contemporary public. Once royal names are rightly or unfairly associated with significant international issues that are already dominating the news cycle, perception is formed. However, royal analysts claim that the deepest concern about these accusations goes much beyond opulent hotels or prestigious social gatherings. Because insiders assert that the York family's long-standing social ties and wider image are the true source of anxiety within palace circles, now more than ever, Beatrice will most likely need him. However, they can also be legitimately going through a difficult period of It's quite startling what Andrew and Fergie have been exposed to and involved in. Reports about Sean Diddy Combs apparently indicated that he saw being close to the British monarchy as a potent status symbol and influence in affluent global circles. Commentators claim that this notion alone has caused the monarchy great pain as long-standing social ties and introductions are once again brought up in public discourse. According to royal insiders, the concern is not just about one purported association, but also about what those associations publicly symbolize at a time when the monarchy is already having difficulty regaining legitimacy and trust. Reports state that discussions about these social groups purportedly involved frequent allusions to closeness to royal figures, aristocratic access, and exclusivity. Additionally, analysts assert that several former colleagues have recounted an environment in which ties to the monarchy were practically regarded as social currency inside specific affluent networks. Because it directly contributes to long-standing concerns about wealth, celebrity power, and privileged access associated with the York family, observers claim that image has become particularly harmful. Insiders claim that palace tension increased when rumors surfaced claiming over the years, intensely intimate remarks about York family members have been disseminated in secret among those larger circles. As of right now, neither Princess Beatrice nor Princess Eugenie appear to have committed any infraction. That point is really crucial. However, royal analysts claim that the mere notion that the sisters may have had any disrespectful comments or uncomfortable talks has created significant emotional suffering behind the scenes, and analysts speculate that this could be the reason Princess Beatrice is mentioned to be responding to the most recent stories with such vigor, because insiders say that from her point of view, this is no longer just another unpleasant royal issue related to her parents' past. It is said to feel intimate. Moreover, it appears that Andrew and Fergie are more focused on themselves than on the long-term harm and consequences it has caused to their daughters, and consequently, their own grandkids. An agonizing rehashing of past disputes that puts her family's name in extremely unpleasant international discussions. The monarchy had already fallen behind as it so dearly hoped. Insiders indicate that Princess Beatrice has been profoundly disturbed by the most recent allegations and the renewed focus on the York family's previous connections. According to observers, the emotional impact stems not just from the headlines themselves, but also from the realization that her family may have been the subject of extremely awkward discussions in influential social circles for years without the public's knowledge. Commentators claim that this allegedly left. As new scrutiny erupted in the international media, Beatrice felt overpowered and intensely protective of Princess Eugenie. According to insiders, Beatrice has increasingly taken on the role as the family's emotional shield, attempting to withstand attack from all sides while defending her younger sister from the most severe consequences, because royal observers claim that the York sisters are once again caught up in disputes that were primarily started long before they had any say in the matter. Simultaneously, commentators claim that the pressure on the House of York seems to be growing faster than just recent headlines. They had nothing to do with it, and they could have done a lot of things to help Eugene and Beatrice, but they haven't, and Fergie, based only on the earlier tale lines and things, Fergie reminds me a little bit of Katie Price whenever things are difficult for her because, according to reports, focus is now turning to a far larger past encompassing wealth, power, social ties, and decades of controversy associated with the family name. Additionally, insiders claim that Behind palace walls, such change might be causing even more anxiety than the current media cycle. According to royal writer Andrew Looney, the York branch of the monarchy supposedly functioned for years in a setting where financial concerns and contentious ties were frequently ignored or tolerated. The worry, according to commentators, is that contemporary scrutiny is reviving old scandals that the institution originally thought would eventually fade into obscurity. However, observers claim that in today's media landscape, the tactic of merely waiting for headlines to dissipate is no longer successful. Records from the past come up again and again. Every new incident allegedly draws attention back to decades of unanswered questions about the family, and old accusations resurface. Insiders claim that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie must now deal with the unpleasant reality of having to deal with the fallout from choices and connections made years before either sister had a significant say in the matter. We will find ourselves in a really challenging circumstance. Additionally, observers note that during the past few decades, both journalists and investigators seem to be more interested in tracking the larger financial and social networks that surround the York family. Concerns about the York family's financial activities reportedly did not emerge overnight. Questions, according to observers, had been mounting for years, especially after Sarah Ferguson was connected to extremely contentious conversations about paid access to Prince Andrew while he was a trade ambassador. According to reports, the controversy alone caused severe shame for the then monarchy. Commentators, however, claim that insiders now think it was just one part of a much bigger pattern that would haunt the York family for years to come. Royal observers frequently cite a subsequent High Court ruling saying, rekindled interest in mysterious financial activities related to the larger York circle. One particularly contentious payment involving a foreign businessman and the York family reportedly attracted a lot of media attention and public conjecture when information became public. Clear public explanations, according to commentators, never entirely resolved the broader uncertainties about the money and its purpose, making the problem much more devastating. Furthermore, insiders claim that the public's trust in the family was permanently harmed by this ambiguity, because each time the monarchy, despite efforts to move forward and project stability, a previous financial problem appeared to resurface, reopening the same awkward discussions. It evolves together with you, it develops and becomes a part of you, it's a component of how your brain grows. There is nothing wrong with you. According to observers, this tendency eventually led to a much more serious issue for the organization. Public trust began to decline not just as a result of one controversy, but because disputes continued coming up over the course of decades. Commentators claim that after documents linked to Jeffrey Epstein started bringing Prince Andrew and the York family's larger social network back into the spotlight, the pressure increased significantly. According to reports, the public outcry got so bad that King Charles felt compelled to further isolate Prince Andrew from the monarchy. Titles vanished, public appearances became infrequent, official royal duties essentially disappeared. However, sources assert that the unease inside palace circles never really subsided, because what has already been made public may not be the biggest danger at the moment, according to observers. It is what might still come to light in upcoming investigations, legal actions, biographies, or document releases related to high-level international social circles from earlier decades. Additionally, analysts claim that there is a great deal of anxiety behind the royal walls because to the York, according to reports, the family's network spanned affluent political, entertainment, and economic circles around the globe for many years, so new names and links may continue to appear out of the blue for a very long time. Insiders claim that royal officials are becoming worried more and more about what other historical ties or records would eventually come to light. She is, I suppose, skilled at getting money in. There might be a part of it where Beatrice has assisted her husband in his business after all. Teams, according to observers. In an attempt to foresee any fresh scandal before it makes headlines, people behind the scenes are reportedly going over old guest lists, social media accounts, travel information, and links to prestigious events. Additionally, analysts claim that an increasingly unpredictable environment has apparently put significant emotional Princess Beatrice in particular is under siege from the York family because Beatrice has reportedly taken on the role of attempting to keep the family together. As new waves of investigation continue to emerge from all angles, insiders assert that she has discreetly assumed the role of emotional mediator between Princess Eugenie, her parents, and the media during one of the most trying times the family has had to deal with in public. Additionally, some claim that she is emotionally exhausted due to the never-ending cycle of fresh discoveries and fresh headlines. Behind closed doors, commentators claim that whenever the family thinks that the public's interest is finally waning, the issue is abruptly rekindled by a new accusation or an awkward historical tie, that never-ending. According to insiders, Beatrice may be under a great deal of psychological stress due to uncertainties. According to reports, she has reportedly been extremely vigilant about incoming calls, media developments, and private warnings from individuals within the royal and media circles, constantly worried about what fresh headline would surface next. However, analysts claim that her primary priority is no longer safeguarding the reputations of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew. Princess Eugenie is being shielded by it. Commentators claim Beatrice is adamant about prevent controversies related to a world they were both born into, but did not individually create from emotionally overwhelming her younger sister. We've made terrible choices, terrible decisions, but please do not blame our daughters, they could have publicly stated. Additionally, insiders assert that at what ought to be a nice and tranquil period in Eugenie's family life, her protective instinct has only become stronger. Royal observers claim that Beatrice seems prepared to bear a great deal of emotional strain herself in order to maintain some gap between Eugenie and the increasingly poisonous public perception of the York family. However, analysts claim that the stress of bearing that burden virtually alone may now be beginning to manifest in public because of the ongoing burden on the family. However, sources worry that Beatrice would eventually get to the point where she is unable to manage the whole thing on her own. Royal analysts believe that the York family's circumstances are about to reach a pivotal moment that could irrevocably alter Princess Beatrice and the position of Princess Eugenie in the monarchy. Senior royal leaders such as Queen Camilla and Prince William are allegedly becoming more and more irritated with the House of York's never-ending cycle of turmoil, according to insiders. According to observers, the managing individual scandals is no longer the exclusive priority in palace circles. It is about preserving the stability and long-term credibility of the monarchy. Additionally, some inside the organization reportedly think that the modern monarchy can no longer afford the reputational dangers associated with public identification with the York family. Commentators speculate that Princess Eugenie may find this increasing distance particularly upsetting because she has spent years attempting to establish a more stable and tranquil existence centered on family rather than more than the drama of royalty. However, sources assert that as institutional pressure mounts, Princess Beatrice's purported attempt to create a protective barrier around her sister is becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. Observers say there are increasing calls for King Charles to continue transforming the monarchy into a more constrained, smaller organization focused on public transparency and trust. Some pundits claim that this approach gives family branches associated with ongoing conflict and bad press very little space. According to insiders, Beatrice and Eugenie's challenging reality is that they would eventually have to deal with repercussions related to years of harm done to the York family reputation rather than their own personal acts. And royal observers claim that this insight has led to a profound sense of loneliness behind the scenes. The sisters may now worry that many of their most powerful institutional allies are subtly moving away from them with each new story that appears, as palace allegiances change and the monarchy becomes more concerned with survival. Insiders claim that Princess Beatrice may no longer be able to handle the pressure surrounding the York family because she has now reached a point of emotional exhaustion. She reportedly attempted to serve as the family's stabilizing factor for years, discreetly taking in criticism from the public while shielding Princess Eugenie and her parents from the harshest waves of examination. However, many assert that it is now nearly impossible for one person to handle the scope of the current situation on their own. The fact that Beatrice and Eugenie are now bearing the burden may be the most terrible aspect of the whole issue, according to royal watchers. Of disputes and choices they never made themselves, according to reports, the following generation is directly responsible for the House of York's past, as the monarchy grapples with mounting international criticism and ongoing public calls for. Now the sisters seem more and more alone behind the palace walls, attempting to safeguard their own futures while scandals from the past keep coming to light all around them. The institution may continue to restructure and create distance where it can, according to observers, but the bigger questions. It is unlikely that issues pertaining to privilege, authority, and responsibility inside elite royal circles will go away very soon. This raises a significant dilemma for the monarchy's own future. Is it possible for a centuries-old institution to completely break away? Escape the shadow of its history, or despite the palace's best efforts, do long-standing ties and covert disputes eventually resurface? This news has utterly divided royal watchers, so please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Everywhere, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video before you leave if you liked this in-depth look into royal tensions, secret palace drama, and the tales that are being told behind closed doors. Activate alerts as well, since the upcoming royal turn could arriving far earlier than anticipated.